I think we still have a few people coming in, on behalf of the Office of Early Learning and Literacy, I want to welcome you to our data and policy update session. My name is Marie Gibbons. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the team lead in the Office of Early Learning and Literacy for the Read to Succeed. And I have my wonderful cohort with me, Taylor. Taylor, you want to introduce yourself?
Sorry, I'm clicking on and off of unmute today. You can see I hate to be that person with talking in through the AirPods. I feel like I'm always on some sort of like corporate call, but we're all having some fun laptop issues. But all of that to say, I'm Taylor. I do data and reports for the Early Learning and Literacy Office, and just kind of help out in lots of different capacities when it comes to things like summer reading camp. And CERDEP and lots of those pieces. So we're excited to have y'all today, and we'll probably give it just maybe about 1 more minute in case there are others who jump on. And I do see in the chat, we just got a question, how do we sign in for credit? In just a little bit, we have an LS, Sonia, that's going to be facilitating the session, and she will drop a link in that will allow you to put in for credit. But we usually wait just a little bit until like folks have been able to log on so that we don't miss anybody. So just, you'll see it in the chat, and we'll also make an announcement. And and no worries about video. It's really early in the morning, so if y'all would like to stay off video for this, you're absolutely welcome to. I may have to turn mine off in a moment if my bandwidth is messing with me. So yeah, no worries about video. We'll give it just another, well, it's 8:31. Marie, I'm okay to start if you're good.
Well, we'll go ahead and start. Well, one thing we wanted to say to start off with is that if you have been in your role for a number of years, most of the information that we have today, or maybe all of the information we have today, will be very, very familiar to you. But just interested to know if we have any new persons that maybe you'll be in charge of summer reading camp or Read to Succeed for the first time. If so, if you could maybe just put in the chat, yes, I'm new to this, just so that we kind of know what our audience, about our audience. So, and then we'll get started. So if you could just do that and let us know. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Taylor's in charge of our slides. So, okay. So our goals for today is we're planning to provide you information on summer reading camps and also our CERDEP summer programs, and then just some general updates about MTSS and Read to Succeed. And our norms today are reminders, keep your computer on mute. If you have questions, please type them into the chat. And if we don't get them answered during the session, we'll have some time at the end, I'm sure, because we're not going to take the entire amount of time. But if you have questions, type them in the chat, and maybe put your email address along with it, just in case we don't get it answered during the session, and then we'll be able to get back to you. And all of today's sessions are going to be recorded, and they will be posted on the blog. We have to have them closed captioned first, and along with the PowerPoint, so they will be on the blog after today. Well, it might take several days to get them closed captioned, but they will be there.
And I'll make sure Jackie Wiseman, who's in the CTE office and who used to be with us, who helped with this last year, she has the blog. It's fantastic and wonderful, and she can update that one pretty quickly. So I'll make sure all of these slides are posted up by the end of the day. And I do have, I made a little form last night that I'm going to put in the chat, but I'll also put it in later as well. You may have some questions as you come through that are specific to your district or your school that you may not feel comfortable sharing with the whole group, or you might want to save for later. And so I just made a little Google form that if you think of things as you come through, you can put it in, and one of us will either give you a call or email back, whichever you prefer, just in case you think of something later as well. So just wanted to stick that in the chat, and I'll also put it in again later. All right, so Wendy, our team lead for early learning, was going to kick off just a little bit of CERDEP information this morning, but she is actually at an event with the governor's office and First Steps today. So I'm going to just run through a few of her slides. If you think of any questions as I'm talking through a few of these, I know this is not summer reading camp, so if you're firmly in that space, you can meditate for a few minutes. The form's a great place to put some of those questions in as well. So just for those of you working with in the early learning space, Wendy's has sent out a few memos about expansion options for this summer. So when we say expansion, we mean extended day for CertUp students, extended year, summer sessions. And she also sent out a memo asking for folks if they are able to add additional CertUp classrooms, just a few of those pieces. So those are going to be due back on February 25th. If you have any questions before then, please let Wendy or myself know. And then once we get all of that information back, we're going to start trying to figure out if there are some other schools and places that we can fit some of this extra state funding in when it comes to CertUp. So this will be really helpful to make sure that we meet the maximum need for your district, both during the school year and during the summer. And then we've got just some of the funding pieces here, but you can read those in the memo. I won't read them out to you too much. Wanted to just quickly remind y'all about the pre-K portal. If you come to the Early Childhood Roundtable or ILR, this should be old hat for you, but this is the statewide website that allows families to search for eligibility in different 4K programs. And so just a few new things. There's a new registration video that if you are a district contact here, you can put it on your social media platforms or on your school website. It just helps parents find out their options. And there's also a new parent tab that just has additional family resources. And then a little note at the bottom, Wendy's team pulls out leads from the site based on the information parents send us, the interest forms, and she sends those out regularly to district folks. So you should have gotten that in the last week if you had any district contacts here. And if you didn't receive it, just let Wendy and I know. And then along with that is going to be the First Five portal, which is also for parents and families with different child needs from birth to age 5. And so that just helps connect folks with public services, which you can see listed here. So we really encourage y'all to go check that out. This is another great resource that if you're able to regularly share this on social media or on your website, that's fantastic, or as part of any family night at school, back to school activity pieces. This is a good year-round resource to have. Wanted to have a special shout out again for our learning engagement coaches for families. If you looked at your schedule today, you'll notice that this crew right here, we have a whole slot saved for them right in the middle of the day. And basically, this group is here to just help districts improve communications between families, teachers, and schools. So they can come in and they can do trainings for teachers, trainings for district staff. They can run family events. And I really encourage you, if you can, to attend that midday session, because what they'll do is they'll each introduce themselves and you'll get to hear, who the person is assigned to your district and school and the ways that they can help you for the rest of the school year and next year. They are all, I'm biased, but I think they're all fantastic. And I think they have the ability to maybe pull some extra work that I know a lot of y'all who are district-based and school-based have a lot on your plates right now. And so this is an area where maybe you can have somebody come in and help take a little bit off of it. So that's going to be that midday session here. And I see Becky asked, when will we get the slides? I'm going to send these to Jackie and have her put them up on the blog just as soon as the session is done. So by the end of the day, for sure, you'll be able to see those up there. And then the other piece of the learning engagement grant comes with our learning engagement coach for teachers. And so that's going to be Paige Mitchell. And so Paige is offering some regular professional development sessions on the Instructional Hub. And that's another one that you can have Paige come visit your district, run a virtual session for teachers, If you've seen Paige present, she's fantastic. And if you have not, you have the opportunity to today because she's also running some sessions on the hub. And so I highly recommend being able to attend one of those. But if you can't, I'd also reach out to her about coming to your district to run some sessions as well. And then other piece here is just a reminder about Countdown to Kindergarten for 4K to 5K transition. And there's some contact information there that will allow you, put you in touch with Janice if you're looking for more information about those programs that is in partnership with First Steps. Okay, so now we're kind of back to the main event, and that's going to be our summer reading camp updates. So just to let y'all know, Marie and I are going to go back and forth sharing some pieces. For those of you that are new, I do see we had a few folks that are on the newer side of things. We'll make sure we give you a little bit of background info and kind of where to find information, and then updates for those of you that are both new and who have been around the Summer Reading Camp Rodeo before. So Marie, I'll let you take it away with this first one.
Okay, certainly. Thank you. Of course, we know that the purpose of Summer Reading Camp is all about Act 284, the Read to Succeed Act. And, you know, it requires districts to offer summer reading camp for those third graders that are not on grade level, that are in danger of having to be retained. And successful completion of the summer reading camp is one of the good cause exemptions that those third graders have to avoid the mandatory retention. And of course, you know, other grade levels are certainly invited or can be invited to participate in summer reading camp. And Taylor, if you have anything you want to add on the slides, that just go right ahead.
Yeah, I'll jump in.
Okay, there is a per pupil allocation for summer reading camp, and that is based on the number of students that scored in the Not Met 1 category on the previous administration of SC Ready. So that would be your third graders last year that scored in the Does Not Meet category. The allocations are typically dispersed in late winter and early spring. That goes directly to your director of finance. I talked to our Office of Finance this week, and they said that you should get your allocations in February. So sometime this month, if you've not already gotten them, you may want to check in with your director of finance to see if they have been given the allocation. So, you know, it may already be there. And then we have a link here for the funding manual. For those of you that are new, there are some expenditures that are allowed, certainly like salaries and benefits and that sort of thing, and some instructional supplies. And there are also some things that are not allowed. So be sure to check out the funding manual and look at this, the summer reading camp page to determine what you can and cannot spend money on.
And I'll just add here, if we have any charter school folks on the call, just like Marie said, make sure you check with the district finance contact, because I know sometimes with charters, you know, summer reading camps operate a little differently than they do in districts. So if you're looking for that allocation, make sure you talk with your district staff about where that one might be. And then the other piece I wanted to say, last year was unusual because of some of the governor's funds that came in, some of the federal funds we have in terms of carry forward compared to previous years. So if you start looking at any sort of carry forward you had from last year and you have questions, reach out to Marie and I. We've been talking with the finance office, and we can help you make sure that everything's squared away in terms of, you know, which money to spend first and all of that.
Okay, third grade retention. Act 284 does require third graders to be retained if they're significantly behind grade level. Now, those third graders might be exempt exempt from retention if they meet one of the good cause exemptions. We do have a link here for the third grade retention guidance document that has all the good cause exemptions and everything you would need to know about third grade retention. So please check that out if you don't already have a copy of that. And then there is a Read to Succeed Power School page that requires that districts enter good cause exemptions for all of those third grade students that are eligible, regardless of whether or not they attend summer reading camp. So that's important to be sure that all of those third graders have the data put into Power School regarding the good cause exemptions.
And I'll talk a little bit more about the Power School piece later, and also kind of a timeline of what that might look like for your district. So just kind of keep that one in the back of your head too for now.
Summer reading camps are going to operate as usual this summer. We got lots of questions about whether or not in the past couple of years, due to the pandemic and schools getting out late and that sort of thing. But the legislation is still the same on that. So we will do the same thing. We'll have the usual allocation for the third grade students. It has to be face-to-face. It cannot be a virtual camp. And then of course the instructional hours are still the same. 96 hours have to be done. And Taylor's already mentioned, if you have any questions about carry forward funds, just reach out to us and we will help you with that as much as as we can. And we do have a memo that will come out in March. And this is our pre-camp survey. And this is where you would put in your expected dates that you expect your camp to operate and also the expected locations. Now that doesn't have to be final, but we do need to get that information early so we can start planning our visits, because we will be coming out and monitoring summer reading camps.
And I'll say what we normally ask for it back closer to the end of May. So even though you see March, you've got a while to let us know what your plans are. And of course, if anything changes at any point, you can always email me and easy to update. Okay, I'll do these next few just talking about data updates. So, well, before I say anything, if you are not new to summer reading camp, then everything we've said so far should be, pretty consistent with what you've done in years past. There's not much that we have not many changes we have for this year. It's going to be pretty much the same as prior years. So in terms of data, districts are going to again use the Power School page and summer school setup for summer reading camp data and that third grade retention data. It was, Power School's kind of tricky. We had a few folks that were a little new to the summer school space, and also doing this during a pandemic was not the most fun transition in the world. So I am really grateful to all of you for jumping on with this new change. So once you get this PowerPoint, I linked here our summer reading camp page that just has some extra Power School information, like the summer school setup manual. There's a presentation that walks through how to do that. I have a little PowerPoint I put together with how do you enter data on the Read to Succeed page. So those are still all up there. Right now we have last year's documents. Should be almost the same for this upcoming year, but I am going to go in and update those when we send that memo out next month. Another thing that we are going to do that's a little different is the data office is going to put together a video walkthrough of what does it look like to set up a summer school that you can play through and go back and click on. We heard from a few folks that those are really helpful to have, especially when it's something as intricate as Power School. So that'll be in the memo too, and you can make sure your Power School folks are aware of it in case they have any questions. And for those of you that are new, just wanted to put up here a reminder about our reporting requirements. That this is a piece in law. Marie and I do not just collect summer reading camp data for fun, we promise. So the law says that we have to report annually on the number of students served at summer reading camp, those who successfully complete it by grade level, and then the number of students below that SC Ready not met one cutoff point and their final retention decision. And so that's why you see that good cause exemption and retention piece on the Power School page, even if they don't attend summer reading camp. It's because in the law's eyes, summer reading camp is tied up with third grade retention and those good cause exemptions, even though, as we know, a lot of folks use summer reading camp for students who are behind, but maybe aren't eligible for retention, or are behind in other grade levels. So just want you to know how those pieces fit in together, where the law comes in. So PowerSchool next steps for y'all if you are going to be working with data this summer for your summer reading camp. And these are pretty similar to last year's as well. Just contact your PowerSchool coordinator if you haven't already and ask them, how did things go with creating the summer school and PowerSchool last year and remote enrolling students? If it was tricky, then this is a good opportunity to reach back out and ask if they want to do a training with our data office, anything that can basically be helpful to make it smoother for them, because I know it's a lot on our PowerSchool folks. And then just making sure you know who in your district is going to be responsible for enrolling students and entering attendance and assessment data. Some people have different PowerSchool permissions, and so just make sure you check beforehand if your district limits those. Make sure you know who's the one that'll go in and put that in. And then obviously we ask that when all this stuff goes out in March that you just read through all the detailed info. And then once you receive your list of eligible students from that SC Ready list, just be prepared to share that with your coordinator so you can start enrolling students for summer school. And I see Becky asked in the chat, do we enter for students that are not required to be there but attend? So Becky, yeah, we usually ask that you enter that summer reading camp data for all kids that are attending, in part because with the feedback we've gotten from the legislature before, first of all, the law is kind of phrased like report on the progress of students regardless of grade level. So that would include not just those eligible third graders, but any student there. But also we've had some issues in the past where if districts just put data in on those eligible third grade students, when we go out to report it, the legislature sees that like, oh, that district only served those kids at camp, which is not always the case. Sometimes you serve hundreds more. So we just want to make sure that our reporting is accurate. Our ultimate goal would be that they would increase the amount of money that goes to districts for summer reading camp. And so we want to make sure that we're showing that districts are having to serve a lot of students, which will especially be true for this year. And then I see enroll them in summer reading camp or enter data on the PowerSchool page. So that for those, that would be both. Although this is one of those district specific pieces because I know some of y'all offer different types of summer camps and so, or have different funding mechanisms for summer camps. So if you're not quite sure which students to enter data on, that's a good one to give me a call about or send me an email because I might have like different options for you based on what your summer setup looks like. And then can you add an option for the exemption page, not required to attend? I'll go back in there. We might have a piece on the top about why the student was invited to summer reading camp. And I think one of the options is they didn't meet that. They were at below the not met one cutoff, which to us signals, okay, that's the true laws eligible for retention. But there are a few other drop downs that let us know the student wasn't on that eligible list, but did attend for another reason. But Lori, I might ask you to just check it out. And if that drop down list doesn't, look accurate to you, or if we need to add an option, let us know. And I'm going to chat about these few others, and then I'll loop back around to some more questions as we come back through. Marie, do you want to talk really briefly about the monitoring tool piece?
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to say that we have made some adjustments to the monitoring tool to try to make it better, to kind of help with pre-planning. And it's really an MTSS piece. Our mission of summer reading camp, as you know, is we want to accelerate the child's reading through careful identification, which you're doing now, implementation and monitoring of a clear learning pathway so that all of those children that need summer reading camp, that we do meet and optimize their reading growth. We do have some slight updates. We did add an MTSS section to the summer reading camp monitoring tool. And the monitoring tool, it's called a monitoring tool, but it's really also a planning tool for you, just kind of just to get you in the right mind space of what the summer reading camp should look like. And then we use that tool just as a when we go out to visit schools to, see what's in place and what might need to be tweaked a little bit. So it is also aligned to the annual reading plan that better reflects the current legislation. And we do have 2 sessions today at the 9:45 time as well as the 1:45 time. We've got some literacy specialists that will be doing an in-depth dive into the summer reading camp monitoring tools. So I strongly recommend that you attend one of those sessions. And if not, everything is being recorded, so you could watch the recording. And we will be updating and putting that tool and sending it out in the March summer reading camp memo.
And let me say it's no major changes to this. I mean, they're pretty slight. And yes, Becky, it's the revamping session. And I'm going to be a little sneaky in that I am going to post the link for these on the blog rather than the state website initially. And that's really just because I have to do accessibility stuff for it and I don't want y'all to have to wait. So if you can't attend the revamping session, I'm going to stick it on the blog, but it will go up on the website with all the nice accessibility stuff within the next few days as well. But the revamping session, I think, again, biased since it's some of our best literacy specialists, but I think that's a really awesome one for those of you just thinking, what do I want? How have my camps operated in the past? Are things kind of moving as I want? Are there any little changes to make? So that would be a good one.
And
yeah, it's the revamping one.
Someone asked that question. Okay.
Sorry, I'm clicking around. Let's see.
Okay.
And then I'll tackle this one, Marie, if that's okay. I
Sure.
just want to say the legislature, Marie said this earlier, has not suspended Act 284, so third grade retention is still in place. If you're a little new to the summer reading camp work, basically everything we talk about here is guided by what does the law require in Act 284. That's the Read to Succeed Act from 2014. The only time that this piece has been suspended was in summer 2020. That's when the legislature, that's kind of the one time that they allowed some flexibility on the retention and summer reading camp side. I don't envision that would happen again, although, knock on wood, anything could happen. So I just want to make sure you kind of understand the pieces that are in place when it comes with the legislature's role here. So anyway, Marie, I wanted to say that you can kind of go from there.
Oh, okay. All right. So as she said, it's still in place for this year. And if you do have students that are in that category that need some additional help for to get them on grade level, we do recommend that you look very much at all of very holistically at them, their classwork, their assessments, any of the interventions that they've received, and that will help you determine those good cause exemptions. We also ask you to look carefully at your LAP folders. That's the literacy assessment portfolios, because that's your strong documentation and evidence. And certainly we've had districts ask, can you align it to your MTSS process? Absolutely. This would be a perfect way to use your LAP folders. Tie it in with your MTSS process. And if you have some other data or classwork that you're tracking, could that be in your LAP folder? Absolutely. That would be a wonderful way to tie all those things together. We don't want you to have to do double work. And the last bullet, just a reminder, Act 284 does give the district superintendent the right to exempt students from retention, even if they do not meet a good cause exemption. I'm going to repeat that. So the bottom line is, if you have a student that that doesn't meet a good cause exemption, but that for some other reason may not need to be retained, your district superintendent has the right to move them up. Bottom line, they're the last say.
Right, good there.
You want to do
So
this
I
one,
just,
Taylor?
sure, yeah. I threw together a little timeline for those of you at the district or school level of just what should you be thinking about pre-summer for summer reading camp. So for the next month, that's really just going to be kind of a month of review. So reviewing any Power School info to make sure things look good on your end, that you've talked with your Power School clerk. Reviewing the third grade retention guidance document and just monitoring the LAP folders. And then reviewing the updated monitoring and support tool as you begin planning. And again, that monitoring tool, it's only slight changes. And in April, that's when you're going to start creating those preliminary lists of students. A lot of you already maintain a similar list year round, but really April and May is when you kick into actually finalizing those. And then again, just beginning that Power School setup and reaching out if you have questions or need any walkthroughs. And then in May, that's when you'll use your list of third graders to complete the good cause exemption section on the Power School page. You'll submit your pre-camp data, and that's just all your preliminary info, does not need to be final. And then start contacting families of the invited students. I know some folks start that in April, and it's a mix based on kind of when your camp starts. So those will be, those are kind of your key pieces there. And then we have just a few other OELL updates.
Taylor,
So
we have
Emily says Taylor.
Yeah, you see
Yeah,
it.
parent appeal this year. Yeah, law is still in place that allows, so a parent can submit an appeal if they are retained or don't meet a good cause exemption, but that final decision is still up to the superintendent. So the parent appeal does not supersede the superintendent's decision. So if a parent appeals and the superintendent says, I would still like them to be retained, that's their final one. And Emily, I don't know if Emily could be asking because there's been some discussion in the legislature about whether or not to take that away. And as for now, I think that one's gonna stay in place. So thank you, that's a good question. These are just kind of a few general OELL updates. The community partnership grant is tied in with summer reading camps. I know a lot of y'all on the call have gotten a community partnership grant in the past. So those are due February 24th. They have a few more days. And we actually have a grant example session later this afternoon. Charleston County School District has a really neat partnership that they do over the summer. And so they're going to hold a session kind of describing what does their partnership look like. They'll answer any questions you have about tips for completing the grant application, anything like that. If you have questions, Abeline in our office is the best one to reach out to, but you're welcome to contact any of us and we can help you with that. For reading plan update, no major changes here. We are still going to have reading plans due in October this year. You know, usually it used to be April tied in with the strategic plan. Based on the pandemic, we kind of shifted to October for a little while. And so we expect it's going to be that same kind of form stack survey that we've used last year. Just want to let you know, I feel like every 2 years, we always come back to the whole agency of we really need to be doing all of these plans as just a single plan. There's been some talk of trying to change the strategic renewal plan process because that's something that can be kind of a burden on schools and districts. And so that one is required by law. So just wanted to kind of clue you all in that those discussions are still ongoing and David Mathis is just trying to figure out what can we get around to make it easier for y'all in terms of just completing a single plan. So I want you to know that may be a movement in the next year to really just trying to truly bring those down to one. And then if any of y'all are working in the MTSS space, just like the last few years, we're going to have district MTSS data due at the end of the year through that survey. No changes. It says here no major changes to report it. No changes at all from what's been reported the last few years. I usually send out a little memo on that in the March, April space. And our office and Quincy especially is really working to expand support of middle and secondary MTSS implementation. So just know that we're going to be having hopefully a full-time employee, but certainly some more focused sessions and resources for those levels, in addition to the elementary level. If you have any questions about MTSS pieces, you can email Quincy, although I probably should just put email me on that one because I help a lot with the MTSS work. Okay, so that, here's our list of folks for our office. Oh, Emily, so we had just a few last questions. Emily said, when should we expect our summer reading camp allocations? Emily, Marie talked to the finance office last week and they said it should go out this month. So if you don't see it by the beginning of March, reach out to Marie and I so that we can jump back in. And again, for our charter folks, make sure you talk with your district contacts about those. And I'm going to put that survey in the chat one more time. This is the one for any additional questions for our office. I know you've heard a lot of information and you may want to have time to sit on it, to read the slides. And so I want to make sure you get those in here. Okay, and then I did get a question, PowerSchool question here from Becky. How do you mark students if they're invited and agree to attend but do not attend? Mark as absent each day. So Becky, you can have a few different options there. If you want to mark them as a no-show in PowerSchool, you can. We have a few that mark them as absent each day, and then after a certain amount of time, put them as a no-show. From our end, we'll just really look at those kids with enrollment days, but that's something we can also talk about a little further once you get into that PowerSchool setup if you're having any trouble with it, and the data office can help with that one too. And then Marie dropped in the blog chat. Yes, please go check that out for more information for today, and we'll also, that's where these slides will go up shortly. I'll send them to Jackie as soon as the call finishes so she can put them right up. Okay, well, we finished up a little early, but I wanted to do that so that you guys, well, when we had time for questions, but also if you wanted to have a few minutes to yourself before the next round of sessions starts, you're welcome to do that. So if anybody needs to stay on, you're welcome to stay. And otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining us today. And please go enjoy some other great sessions. And we really appreciate you all.